Tracy, it's what a treat to be here at the beautiful Lewis and Clark Center. And if you haven't had a chance to go around, some of you were saying this is the first time you've been here, you have to see all the exhibits. They are just wonderful. There's so much for you to look at and learn about our particular part of Iowa and South Dakota. Okay, so before we get started, I'd ask you a reminder to turn off your cell phones for the duration of this competition. And as I notice my students turning off their cell phones, good move. Welcome to the 11th Northwest Iowa Poetry Out Loud contest here in the beautiful Betty Strong Encounter Center. The National Recitation contest is being presented through the cooperation of Lamb Arts Regional Theater, the Iowa Arts Council, and the National Endowment for the Arts. I'm Diana Woolley. I'm Executive Director of Lamb Arts Limited and the coordinator of this competition. This is the 19th year since the National Endowment for the Arts first partnered with the Poetry Foundation to establish the Poetry Out Loud program, a program encouraging high school students to learn about poetry through memorization and recitation. This program helps students master public speaking skills, build self-confidence, and helps them learn more about their literary heritage. Just exactly what I gave Tracy to tell you earlier. The other thing that I think is really exciting is all 8 of these people kids that you're going to be listening to are actors. When you're acting, you have to use your voice. But when you're an actor, you have props and costumes and other actors and choreography maybe, you have so many things coming at you that the words sometimes don't have the emphasis that maybe they should. And this is an opportunity for young actors to see how important every word that's on that script page is to the integrity of the production that you're doing. And they can see that through the memorization work that they have to do, which is rated very highly in this competition. If you're not saying the right words, you're not really saying the poem. But today you're going to hear the poems. Okay, today we will have the opportunity to send one young person to Des Moines for the state competition and possibly the South Dakota state competition. The judges have 4 high school students to evaluate for readiness for this next challenge. This will be based on total cumulative scores at the end of the competition. We also have some Poetry Out Loud trainees in our program who will be evaluated according to the Poetry Out Loud rules. It is my hope that we can recreate the love of poetry competition into the future. In the past, so those of you that have come, we'd fill that row and into a little bit further with competitors. And so after the pandemic, things have kind of slowed down, so we're trying to build it back up because, as you'll see, this is like a cool program. Let's see. All four of these young people just finished a wonderful run of the musical Tut Tut. Right? Yeah. Okay, the personnel for today's competition includes, and just wave or stand up, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Our accuracy judge is Matt Chihak, who will be carefully watching the written poem for any discrepancies. There are 8 points available for perfect, accurate recitation. Matt is a licensed mental health therapist and is a Lamb actor as well as serving okay, no, I don't know if I'm not sure if he does that anymore. Okay. I didn't check that out. Okay, now this is Matt's score will be added to each of the judges' scores. So accuracy is considered extremely important with the potential of accumulating for the high school students up to 48 points to each student total. The tabulator is Mary Madsen, Lamb actress and formerly math teacher at North High School and ABE specialist at Western Iowa Tech Community College, and now she's spreading joy as a volunteer at Unity Point.
Spreading germs.
No, not germs,
no,
joy.
Not germs, yeah.
And now our 3 judges have something in common. They're all retired, but I cannot believe how busy they are for being retired. and you'll see what I'm talking about. Jean Emmons, who's been a judge with us for, I think since we began, retired from Briarcliff University, where she was an English professor. Jean is a published poet, a published author, and she has this wonderful talent for creating the most beautiful watercolor. So of paintings, and she's just, what a talent. Bill McKinney is a retired high school English teacher. Well, but now he's very involved in the arts in Siouxland, all over the place. And he, as an actor, and then also he's a researcher and lecturer and does workshops, and he's a busy guy. Nancy Schulenberger, who this is the first time that we've had Nancy, thank you so much for being here, is a former high school advanced placement English teacher at North High, where she also was coach of the North High Quiz Bowl for 12 years. Now she finds time to volunteer at the Pierce Mansion. She's on the board of Friends of Stone Park, is a fitness trainer at Four Seasons Health Club with an emphasis on, I hope I'm saying this right, Stott Pilates and Aqua Aerobics. So, I think it's time to get started. The judges are going to hold their first two ballots, and then Russ will come around and pick them up. So you'll be able to watch the first two, and then we'll take a break to get your scores. All right, our first competitor is Isaiah Vang. He'll be doing At a Window by Carl Sandburg.
At a Window by Carl Sandburg. Give me hunger, O you gods that sit and give the world its orders. Give me hunger, pain, and want. Shut me out with shame and failure from your doors of gold and fame. Give me your shabbiest, weariest hunger. But leave me a little love, a voice to speak to me in the day end, a hand to touch me in the dark room, breaking the long loneliness. In the dusk of day shapes, blurring the sunset, one little wandering western star, thrust out from the changing shores of shadow. Let me go to the window, watch there the day shapes of dusk, and wait, and know the coming of a little love.
I'm going to give the judges a moment just to kind of collect their thoughts on the first one. So the students are judged on physical presence, voice and articulation, interpretation of the poem, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. All of those were worth 6 points total for outstanding, but the overall performance would be worth 9, and then we have the total of the accuracy judges. So it would be added to that. I'm looking to see if they're all busy writing. Do, 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 do. I'll slowly announce the next one. Sapphire, Red Hail. We'll be doing Joy Harcho's Eagle poem.
Eagle Poem by Joy Harjo. To pray, you open your whole self, to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. and know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know except in moments steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky and wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born and die soon within a true circle of motion. Like eagle, rounding out the morning inside us, we pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty.
Okay, we've got a little time. All right. Each winner of the at the state level will receive $200 and an all-expense paid trip with an adult chaperone to Washington, D.C. to compete for the national championship in May. The state winner's school receives $500 stipend for the purchase of poetry books. The first runner-up in each state receives $100 plus $200 for his or her school library. You know, the thing that I find amazing is that you can make money reciting poetry. This blows my mind. Now, the National Poetry Out Loud, once you get to the very top, the first place winner wins $20,000. Second place receives $10,000, and the third place receives $5,000. The fourth through ninth place national winners each receive $1,000, and all 9 schools receive $500 for the purchase of poetry books for their libraries. A total of $50,000 in awards and school stipends is awarded annually at the national finals. And this is supported through the National Endowment for the Arts, and then the Lovers of Poetry. There's an organization that sponsors all this. The way the poems that the students are selecting come from an anthology that they must look at. They can't pick something off the shelves of their at home of a book. It has to be something within the anthology of poetryoutloud.org. And if any of you want to have, it's so much fun just to go through and read all those poems. There's some great ones that are in there, but they need to choose a poem that's 25 lines or fewer. They need to find a poem that's pre-20th century. They need to find, and then a third poem that could be either or both, anything that they'd like to select. Now, some of the kids that you're going to hear will be performing a pre-20th and 25 lines or fewer. And some of them will not be doing the pre-20th century, and that's okay at the state level, at this level right here. But when they go to state, they will have to do that third poem. So are we ready to move on? All right. Now, one of our trainees, our first little trainee, is Vera Clapper, and she's going to do the poem "Suppose" by Phoebe Carey.
Suppose by Phoebe Carey. Suppose, my little lady, your doll should break her head. Could you make it whole by crying till your eyes and nose are red? And wouldn't it be pleasanter to treat it as a joke and say you're glad 'twas Dolly's and not your head that broke? Suppose you're dressed for walking and the rain comes pouring down. Will it clear off any sooner because you scold and frown? And wouldn't it be nicer for you to smile than pout, and so make sunshine in the house when there is none without? Suppose your task, my little man, is very hard to get. Will it make it any easier for you to sit and fret? And wouldn't it be wiser than waiting like a dunce to go to work in earnest and learn the thing at once? Suppose that some boys have a horse, and some a coach and pair. Will it tire you less while walking to say it isn't fair? And wouldn't it be nobler to keep your temper sweet, and in your heart be thankful you could walk upon your feet? And suppose the world don't please you, nor the way some people do. Do you think the whole creation will be altered just for you? And isn't it, my boy or girl, the wisest, bravest plan, whatever comes or doesn't come, to do the best you can?
A pre-20th century, so apparently kids were crazy back then too. Our trainees are being judged as though they're in high school, and there's a reason for that, because I will meet with each of them separately, and we'll go through this so that we'll see the things that we need to work on as we go through and we'll do it again next year, and until you're in high school and can actually compete. It'll be great. And we're still okay. This is where I have to like tap dance, and I'm not really that good. Oh, I can't go to the jokes already. I just can't. Oh, I know. This is now at the bottom of the page of your program. We have a listing of all the past state winners from this contest here, and that's always very interesting. For the longest time, starting in 2010, they did not like it when they saw Sioux City appear at the state contest, because they knew there was no hope that they had any winners from anywhere else. And that went on we had quite a streak there for a while. So that was exciting, and all right. So now we have a high schooler, Emma Olson, with The Affliction of Richard by Robert Bridges.
The Affliction of Richard by Robert Bridges. Love not too much, but how, when thou hast made me such, and dost thy gifts bestow, how can I love too much? Though I must fear to lose, and drown my joy in care, with all its thorns I choose the path of love and prayer. Though thou, I know not why, didst kill my childish trust, that breach with toil did I repair, because I must. In spite of frighting schemes with which the fiends of hell blaspheme thee, in my dreams so far I have hoped well. But what the heavenly key, what marvel in me wrought shall quite exculpate thee? I have no shadow of thought. What am I that complain? The love from which began my questions sad and vain justifies thee to man.
Thank you. It's going to take them a little bit here. Let's see. Kids, I refuse to resort to the poem or to the jokes this early. I cannot do it. I cannot do it. Don't make me have to. They're good. Right, Grace? Yeah, I think I probably recite them with me. Judges have a hard task trying to write down with all those 5 different areas, and then any kind of comments that they're able to add. And what we do later with the ones that move on to the state level, we'll look at those comments and see if we can, correct anything or kind of enhance anything. Do you have them all, Russ? Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Just let me know so I'm not.
When I sit down.
Jeez, okay. I suppose that's a pretty big clue. All righty, we have another trainee, Danny Thielander, who will be doing Naomi Shihab Nye's poem, Famous.
Famous by Naomi Shihab Nye. The river is famous to the fish. The loud voice is famous to silence, which knew it would inherit the earth before anybody said so. The cat sleeping on the fence is famous to the birds, watching him from the birdhouse. The tear is famous, briefly, to the cheek. The idea you carry close to your bosom is famous to your bosom. The boot is famous to the earth, more famous than the dress shoe, which is famous only to floors. The bent photograph is famous to the one who carries it, and not at all famous to the one who is pictured. I want to be famous to shuffling men who smile while crossing streets, sticky children in grocery lines. Famous as the one who smiled back. I want to be famous in the way a pulley is famous, or a buttonhole. Not because it did anything spectacular, but because it never forgot what it could do.
Good job. That was the fastest exit I've seen. Anybody clocking that one? Okay. On the back of your program, there's a few little fun things to look at. We have The Outsider, which is a political. It is a political comedy, but it's not Republican or Democrat. It is just funny, and it makes you feel good about being in America. It really does. It's a great comedy, and it plays March 1st to the 17th, and I happen to be directing it, and my husband happens to be the outsider. So it's a beautiful, brand new play by Paul Slade-Smith. So we're excited about that. Also later that month, I think a week after that show closes, yes it is, we have Decision 70s, which sounds like it's a political thing. It's our fundraiser. And that's going to be, we're going to finally make a decision about the 70s. Was it the music of the hippies? Then all that beautiful lyrical stuff that was going on right then? Or is it that crazy disco stuff? What was really, what defined that? And we're going to, on March 23rd, we will make that decision, and we will let all the rest of the world know. And so that information's on there. Okay, we're ready to move on. Yes. And now I have this, and I have to turn it over. Oh, the last one for First round is Grace Powell. She'll be performing The Gamble by Laura Hershey.
The Gamble by Laura Hershey. We are taught not to gamble. Perhaps it is thought we have lost enough already. Legs, vision, speech, the typical use of our bodies. Others' fears would teach us to cringe at any thought of any risk. Disability and risk don't mix. Risk is something we are supposed to be protected from. By agencies, by professionals, by parents, by doctors, by invisibility, by shame, by confinement if necessary. We must be kept safe. This is one of the lies which fills the beds of the so-called homes. So we embrace the risks to fight the lies. This is our gamble. Minute by minute, city after city, from the tense beginning to the jubilant or shattered end of every protest, with every rhythmic word of every chant, at each blocked entrance, each barricade, with every defiant inch forward, every move toward freedom for our people, any time we raise a fist or a song to mean we're never going away. With every confrontation up and down the length of the standoff, each and every time, we are testing the humanity of people who wear a badge, carry a gun, and fear our incomprehensible strength. We know this is a dangerous test, for some fail as extraordinarily as others pass. It is a gamble, risky and promising. It may pay off in unmet eyes or a distant stare, surly dismissals or a question, dialogue or bruises.
So that's the end of round one. We'll give the judges a chance to write their comments before we start round two. What else can I tell you before I resort to the jokes? Well, let's see. I think I'm gonna have to go there. All right. If you remember this from last year, shout it out. What did the poet say to Luke Skywalker?
I don't know what.
Metaphors be with you. Oh. Remember, these are poem jokes, so okay. Are we ready to go to round two already? Oh, that's true. It's hard to see from up here. We're going to hear from Isaiah Vang with the poem by Franz Wright, To Myself.
To Myself by Franz Wright. You are riding the bus again, burrowing into the blackness of Interstate 80, the sole passenger with an overhead light on. And I am with you. I am the interminable fields you can't see, the little lights off in the distance. In one of those rooms we are living. And I am the rain, and the others all around you, and the loneliness you love, and the universe that loves you specifically. Maybe. And the catastrophic dawn. The nicotine crawling on your skin, and when you begin to cough, I won't cover my face. And if you vomit this time, I will hold you. Everything's going to be fine. I will whisper, it won't always be like this. I am going to buy you a sandwich.
Saf, you're gonna have to wait for a couple, one long poem. Joke. Oh, I know, this one's funny. That's so when I get to the end of it, you all laugh, all right? Okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna start feeling really bad. What do you get when you combined Robert Frost with James Bond?
What?
The road not shaken, but stirred. Oh, I'm getting these now. Saf, I won't do another one before yours. I don't think you could take it. Saphariah Redhale will be doing a poem by Deborah A. Miranda entitled Advice from La Llorona.
Advice from La Llorona by Deborah A. Miranda, a found poem. Each grief has its unique side. Choose the one that appeals to you. Go gently. Your body needs energy to repair the amputation. Humor phantom pain. Your brain cells are soaked with salt. Connections fail unexpectedly and often. Ask for help. Accept help. Read your grief like the daily newspaper. Headlines may have information you need. Scream, drop kick the garbage can across the street. Don't feel guilty if you have a good time. Don't act as if you haven't been hit by a Mack truck. Do things a little differently. But don't make a lot of changes. Revel in contradiction. Talk to the person who died. Give her a piece of your mind. Try to touch someone at least once a day. Approach grief with determination. Pretend the finish line doesn't keep receding. Lean into the pain. You can't outrun it.
How do I do a joke after that? Okay, but I will. Oh, this is a, well, no, I'm not going to announce ahead of time and how they're going to respond. I do that wrong, don't I?
Yes.
I'm not supposed to let you, okay, you're not
She's
going
the
to like
wrong
that. No, I don't
person
say
telling
that.
jokes.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you a here's a joke. How does a poet sneeze?
I don't know how.
That's it. Haiku. Isaiah. Oh, okay. Oh, I got a thumbs up, all right. Oh, okay, it looks like, oh boy. Why are poets always so poor? Because rhyme doesn't pay. Oh, yeah. Jean, does it pay? No. So this is a true joke. And you're looking at me for more, and I have one more, and after that I just have to come up with them out of my head, which could be dangerous. All right, let's see. No. Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm that. Oh my, oh, I'm not gonna, okay. How do poets say hello? Hey, haven't we met before? Okay. All right. Our next poet is Avila Clark, and she's one of our trainees, and she's doing a poem by a poet that has a name that's really long, Josephine Delphine Henderson Hurd, and the poem's titled Thine Own.
Thine Own by Josephine Delphine Henderson Hurd. To live and not be thine own, like springtime is when birds are flown, or liberty in prison bars, or evening skies without the stars, like diamonds that are lusterless, or rest when there's no weariness, like lovely flower that have no scent, or music when the sound is spent.
I truly don't have another joke. I cannot believe it. I usually don't get to do them all. But that's okay. Yeah, you can sing, yeah. Well, speaking of singing, Cassie, my daughter, our daughter, Cassie's coming back from Chicago for the fundraiser, so she'll be performing at the fundraiser on the 23rd. Then on the 24th at First Presbyterian Church, she and I are doing a duet recital of musical theater songs and duets. So that'll be a lot of fun, we'll be posting more things about that as we get closer. But some fun duets. Kind of hard to rehearse from a distance, but it works. All righty. Oh. Our fourth person in the round two is Emma Olson. She's returning with Dana Goya's Pity the Beautiful.
Pity the Beautiful by Dana Goya. Pity the beautiful, the dolls and the dishes, the babes with big daddies granting their wishes. Pity the pretty boys, the hunks and Apollos, the golden lads whom success always follows. The hotties, the knockouts, the 10s out of 10, the drop dead gorgeous, the great leading men. Pity the faded, the bloated, the blousy, the paunchy Adonis whose luck's gone lousy. Pity the gods no longer divine. Pity the night, the stars lose their shine.
That one always makes me think about going to a class reunion. We're gonna, when the judges are deliberating for the winners, we will have the students come up here and I will be asking them some questions. I didn't tell you that, did I? Well, you know I don't have any more jokes to tell, so you're gonna help me. Not by telling jokes. And my husband just smiles at me like okay, all right, and then it goes like this. You know what that means, stretch. Say, keep talking. Well, if you have nothing to say, it's hard to stretch. Yeah.
So Diana,
Yes.
do you and Cassie practice over Zoom?
Well, we worked over Christmas time, picking out things. The music's is awesome, so much variety. And then she'll be here for a week, so we'll have time together.
It's hard
So,
to do music over Zoom.
yeah, I can't do music over Zoom. Okay, all right. Our last little trainee, Hadley Wilson, is going to be doing Henri Cole's haiku.
Haiku by Henri Cole. After the sewage flowed into the sea and took the oxygen away, the fishes fled. But the jellies didn't mind. They stayed and ate up the food the fishes left behind. I sat on the beach in my red pajamas and listened to the sparkling foam, like feelings being fustigated. Nearby, a crayfish tugged on a string. In the distance, a man waved. Unnatural cycles seemed to be establishing themselves without regard to our lives. Deep inside, I could feel a needle skip. Autumn dark, murmur of the saw. Poor humans.
It's been so much fun to work with the 4 high school and the 2 fifth graders and the 2 seventh graders. It's been fun to watch their understanding of their poem change, and what's really important is that I don't influence too much what their interpretation is of it. They take it from their life experience to make it work for them, and they select their own poems, so that's all part of the whole process. But what's really cool about these 8 kids is they love each other. I mean, they are so supportive of each other, not competitive, but just very loving and very kind. And that's been just so wonderful to see it when we have some, 2 or 3 of you be at a rehearsal together. I just thought that was just really cool. So thank you so much for that. Wonderful. That's the kind of experience a teacher loves. Okay. Our final poem for today is, After Working 60 Hours Again for What Reason, by Bob Hickok. And it will be recited by Grace Powell.
working 60 hours again. For what reason? By Bob Highcock. The best job I had was moving a stone from one side of the road to the other. This required a permit, which required a bribe. The bribe took all my salary, yet because I hadn't finished the job, I had no salary, and to pay the bribe, I took a job moving the stone the other way. Because the official wanted his bribe, he gave me a permit for the second job. When I pointed out that the work would be best completed if I did nothing, he complimented my brain and wrote a letter to my employer suggesting promotion on stationery bearing the wings of a raptor spread in flight over a mountain smaller than the bird. My boss, fearing my intelligence, paid me to sleep on the sofa and take lunch with the official who required a bribe to keep anything from being done. When I told my parents, they wrote my brother to come home from university to be slapped on the back of the head. Dutifully, he arrived and vowed to receive his instruction, at which point sense entered his body, and he asked what I could do by way of a job. I pointed out that there were stones everywhere, trying not to move. All it took was a little gumption to be the man who didn't move them. It was harder to explain the intricacies of not obtaining a permit to not do this. Just yesterday, he got up at dawn and shaved, as if the lack of hair on his face has anything to do with the appearance of food on an empty table.
So, in a moment here, guys, I will take this off the, or I can take that one off too. And I'll just ask you some questions about your poems. Are anybody ready for that? Okay, all right, okay. We'll give the judges some time, and then what will happen is that they will go off and deliberate in the reception room. By the way, you're all invited afterwards to the reception that's right over across the way. So we'd love to have you there, see you there, and get a chance to talk to you. So be thinking of, the rest of you don't listen, be thinking of why you chose the poem that you chose and why it speaks to you, and maybe how your interpretation of it changed from when you first read it, and maybe, let's see, how it speaks to you, maybe how you were able to relate it to your life. Yeah. So, judges, you are dismissed. Tough job. Yeah, I did already. Okay. Now, I want you to take the microphone and don't talk to me, talk to them, all right? Who would like to say something about why you chose the poem you chose? Danny, come on up. No, you can, I'm just gonna go. Oh. Or you can just jump up. Find your key light. There you go.
So last year I didn't really get to choose my poem last year. She gave it to me because she thought I would be good at it. So this year it was different because I got to choose my poem. So it wasn't that hard for me to find a poem I liked. So I chose this one because, first of all, a lot of them were kind of hard for me to understand, and I wanted a poem that I could understand really well.
Can you remind them a little bit about what your poem was about?
Yeah, it was basically about
someone wanting to be known not by like what people think of like for being a star in music, an actor or whatever, but just like being famous to people that they talk to and stuff. Like for simple gestures like smiling to people and stuff like that. Yeah, just being a good human and people remembering them for that. So I basically just chose that poem because it was also hard. A lot of them were kind of sad and I wanted a more upbeat one. So that one was the first one I saw and I was like, okay, that's gonna be good for me.
In 7th grade, you don't want sad. Anybody else? And you don't have to jump. If you want to come around and get into the light, you can. Or you can, I can hand the microphone down. Okay, Vera, what are you going to do? Are you going to jump up or going to come around? All right. Now, Vera was the one that did, she just did a haiku. Vera was the one that did the pre-20th century about the children that don't know how to behave. Haiku again. Are you ready?
Allergies. I chose my poem because it was one that I thought I could recite well. And when I'm in the theater, I like to play a character that I get to speak loudly and I get to throw a lot of my emotion into, and I thought that I could do that nicely with this poem. I like how it gives an idea of how it's good to have positivity in whatever challenges you need to face in life. I just think it's a nice poem.
Isaiah. You're just going to jump up, aren't you? Which poem are you going to be talking about?
To myself.
Okay. So if it's a to myself when he's on the highway? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was like a lot of poems on Poetry Out Loud that really meant something. I had to eliminate a lot, and these ones are these two that I did, really pictured it, and that's what I liked about it. Hopefully you all also got the image kind of, because it's a really good image and feeling. It's just something that I feel like everyone at times can relate to, because even though, because it's basically about, there's times where you feel some sort of way, but there's always another way out of it. There's always other people that also are feeling that same way. And, there's just so many other things that, rather than sitting on one moment, there's other ways to handle it. So, yeah.
You can always buy him a sandwich. Emma, come on up. See which. Oh. I envy that. Oh, that's true. Okay, tell him.
Okay, so I did the Affliction of Richard. Yeah. Okay. So I chose the Affliction of Richard because while some people said that it was like super easy for them to find a poem, I personally found it kind of difficult to find a poem that really spoke to me, because one of the biggest things when I go on and say something is I want to truly mean what I'm saying. And so when I found The Affliction of Richard, the title at first kind of intrigued me. So when I went to go read it, it was not at all what I was expecting it to be like. But it was a really beautiful poem, and I really liked it. And I chose it because it just spoke to me, because I've had experiences like that where you care for someone so much that you really shouldn't care for. And so I was like, okay, I like this one, so that's the reason why I chose that one.
Is there a line or two that you pull off of it?
I think one of the ones that spoke to me the most was "And dost thy gifts bestow," because people will always tell you how much empathy is a gift, when it's not always a good thing, because sometimes it's really hard to be put boundaries up and stuff. I really liked that part. And I think the other line that really spoke to me was, let me see. The ending line, the justifies thee to man. My question sad and vain justifies thee to man, because it's almost like every time you're gonna justify these people because you just want to hang on to them even though you should let them go, but you can't. So that's why I chose that one.
And that's why Richard has an affliction. Yes, Grace, you're not gonna do that. Your legs are shorter than, oh, she's gonna do it.
Good, great, yeah.
Look at that. Okay, which poem, girl?
Oh, I was going to talk about both,
Okay,
since I'm up here.
well, explain the gamble, because I think that's important, because
Yeah.
that's something I could not say, and I think it's
So,
important.
The Gamble, if you didn't figure out, that was my first poem that I did, was about people with disabilities and how they're overlooked quite often and just feel alone. And I think it was a lot about protesting and having your voice be heard even though you do have a disability. And it just really spoke to me when I first read it, because it's a very powerful poem, and I wanted to have a powerful poem this year because it felt like something I could do. But I really did enjoy that one. And then the second one, the after working 60 hours for no reason, completely opposite end of the spectrum, and that's usually a good thing because it's good to show your judges that you can do different genres of poems and things. But that one was really fun just because it stood out to me when I first read it of how funny and random it is, that it's talking about moving a stone from one side of the road to the other. And I just love that. So I decided to go with that one, and it stuck. And so, yeah, that was how I chose my poems.
And we have a whole room full of people that want to get that job.
Yeah.
Who else? Hadley? No, it was hard to tell that was a hand, 'cause she was going like this. All right. Haiku.
Well, I think I really like this poem because it has like kind of the deep meaning of how things can change, but they can completely just do something completely different. So there's so many possibilities, and that's why I think that I really like this poem. That's why.
Russ is going to check on the judges. And we have, I love this. You know in school, you know when everybody kind of puts their heads down? Avila, why'd you choose your poem? Come on up. What did you learn? How about, what did you learn through that poem?
That it's important to like be yourself because like
That really is, that's very good. So why is it important to be yourself?
because like
Hard to keep up being somebody else.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you're true to yourself, then and you're always gonna be true to yourself, then you don't have to worry about remembering. You're just yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's it. It's another 20th century. Saphariah? Which one are you gonna talk about?
Eagle poem.
Oh, Eagle poem. Yeah, that's great.
So when I was choosing poems, I was looking at the homepage on Poetry Out Loud, and I saw this little section that is poems about Native American heritage, and I thought that I would connect with one of those poems because I am Native American, and I wanted to express my culture, kind of, and I chose Eagle poem because it really expresses my heritage. Yeah.
No, but you know what was interesting when we were talking and working on this? Tell about when you go to Winnebago, and that was interesting.
So sometimes when a person dies in my tribe, we have a funeral for them, and we also have a lunch. And the family members of the person stand up and they give a speech and they reminisce about the person, but when they're talking, they talk very wisely, and they talk like they know what they're talking about. It's usually the elders, and I take a lot of inspiration when they're giving their speeches.
So everybody got to talk, and guess what? No more jokes. We've got the judges. Now we're going to take a picture with the judges. I don't know how this all played out, so Miss Mary. They just said they had a hard time, but they've got it figured out. So going on to South Dakota is our little Grace. Congratulations. And going on to the state of Iowa is, drum roll please, Emma Olson. So now each of you girls will actually now be competing against each other from, not right. If you win the state, you will be competing against each other. And so that's cool. And you each have to pick one more poem. So there you go, before you go. And there's instructions as far as when things have to be done. All right, now it's time for our picture call. So the rest of you don't have to stay and watch us unless you are really wanting to be entertained. I don't know. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much